Hi, I'm Lisa, this is Horsham TV, and coming up next we have an interview with a very special guest. There's a clue behind me, but all will be revealed coming up in a moment. So I promised a special guest, and we have none other than the lovely Julia Donaldson. Hello, and thank you for letting us film you today, really appreciate that. We're here in Steyning Bookshop's beautiful gardens because you are doing a book signing for the new book. So let's have a little chat about the new book. It's called
The Woolly Bear Caterpillar, and it was actually inspired. It's got a Sussex inspiration.
Okay.
Because I'm a member of Sussex Wildlife Trust, and a couple of years ago I was at one of their events, and they had this moth trap. And that sounds a bit horrible. It's not horrible. It's not a no. It's just a way they lure the moths under this muslin at night time, and then in the daytime you take off the muslin. And there were so many different moths there, and I thought that was fascinating. And one of them was called an elephant moth, but it didn't look like an elephant. So I said, "Why is it called that?" And they said, "Because the caterpillar had a long sort of nose." And so that got me interested in what sort of caterpillars turned into what sort of moths. So that was the starting point for this book.
I like it. So is your caterpillar based on a real caterpillar? Or
Yes, all the caterpillars in the book are real ones, and they, well, I better not give too much away, but they don't all turn into, the boring ones don't necessarily turn into boring looking moths, and vice versa. But also in the book, there's this lovely little other book which I didn't write. That's written by Michael Blenko from Sussex Wildlife Trust, and that's a non-fiction book about the same caterpillars and moths that are in the book. Oh, that's
lovely. So you can enjoy the fictionalised version and then understand a little bit more about what's in there. So when you say you were inspired, do you tend to? Do you come back and you write notes once you've seen something? Or?
Well, what happened was I actually asked Michael from the Sussex Wildlife Trust if he could send me. I cheated really, instead of doing the research myself. But I said, just give me examples of any boring caterpillars that turn into colourful moths, and colourful caterpillars that turn into boring moths. So he sent me a whole list, and then I sort of picked out the ones that fitted the book. The story.
And so have you learnt more about the stuff in our area and the nature in our area? Have you discovered moths that you didn't know existed?
More just from going on the Sussex Wildlife Trust events than for this book.
Absolutely. So this book's out now, and but you also had another one out last year which we haven't been able to plug because we've not been allowed out and about and recording. Do you want to tell me a little bit about the one you had previously as well?
Actually, I've had more than one.
You've had another?
Yeah. Well, there's another kind of nature-y one called Counting Creatures, which is for slightly younger ones, because it's got flaps and it's all about animal babies and things. And,
that's lovely. I saw that one actually in Steyning Bookshop at the front. It looks really beautiful. It's got a nice front cover to it as well. Now, so you're obviously prolific with writing children's books. And the reason I'm saying this is because Julia is now, you're classed as a maestro.
Well, I suppose yes. Well, well, there is this project called BBC Maestro, and it's e-learning, and they've got all sorts of top people like Jed McCurry, who wrote Line of Duty. Yes. He does a whole series of masterclasses about writing, television thrillers. They've got a famous cook.
I noticed Gary Barlow, the singer's on there as well. He's classed as my show.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, not that I'm a fan or anything, but I might have spotted that he was on there.
Oh, okay. So, well, yes, the idea is that they get someone who's an expert in a particular field, and then you deliver. Well, I did 27 classes about how to write picture books, and each one's about a quarter of an hour. So it's 6 hours of learning.
That's brilliant.
But people do have to pay to access it.
But I would have thought, if it's coming from you and it's 27 lessons, then you're going to get quite a good deal, aren't you? It's going to be ideas of what you've learned over the last few years.
Yeah, plus it's not all based on my own books. I did lots and lots of research, and my study was just ceiling high really with picture books, old and new, and ones from other countries as well. So because I didn't want to just talk about my way of doing things.
No.
So,
well, that's interesting. Gosh, that must have been a lot of research time that you spent then doing that to curate it.
I did. I mean, it was a big project, but it was quite challenging and interesting. Instead of just being asked where did you get the idea for the Gruffalo? You know,
Yeah.
the usual sort of thing.
So I'm not going to mention the Gruffalo. We don't talk about but no, that sounds really interesting. So is that something, do you think, for someone who's a burgeoning children's writer and wants the ideas and advice, that's a really good start to kind of get ideas through it?
I hope so. That's the plan. I have got little exercises at the end of each lesson, not ones I can mark. They're just like for people to do for their own.
You'd be a bit busy, I think, if
couldn't
everybody
really
was
do
sending
that,
in
but,
their work to you.
you know, but people might like to. There are writers' groups, so people might like to share their, you know, attempts with other burgeoning writers. But I've also actually involved my editor and my agent and the wonderful illustrator Axel Scheffler and a film producer. So in 4 of the lessons there's someone else, not just me, and I'm kind of interviewing them about what people are looking for in a children's picture book.
That sounds really interesting. Oh, that sounds fantastic. I mean, well, that is really interesting. I think that would be really helpful for people. And there's so much information online. It's nice to have it curated and by somebody who knows what they're talking about as well. So that's really useful.
Yeah, I haven't seen much about how to write
not children's
picture books, really. I mean, you do get like cookery things, don't you? One-off things, but well, we just have to see. Really.
And I know you won't tell me, but are you working on the next one at the moment?
Well, actually, I will tell you that I am.
Okay, but you won't tell me anything about it.
More about it, because I know unless it just doesn't work out, you know, I'm still at that stage that, I mean, no one, you know, the publisher doesn't even know I'm working on something.
So it's just frothing the ideas around a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a bit more than that. But my husband knows, and he'll read it out to me, you know, as I write it. And if it doesn't sound right when he reads it, if he stumbles, then I'll kind of rewrite that bit. And that's one of the tips actually in my, you know, lessons. It's really important that it sounds good when it's read aloud, that people don't trip over the words, and so
actually,
get someone else to read.
Getting someone else to read it. That's a great idea, because of course they're not going to be as familiar with the words or the rhyme or the scan of it. So that's a very good tip. Thank you so much. We just jumped in basically ahead of a huge queue of children who are going to be getting their books signed today, aren't they? So you've got a busy afternoon ahead of you.
Yeah, well, it's exciting for me because it's the first live signing. I've been signing all through the lockdowns, signing books for the Steyning Bookshop, but just in my house, you know, so lovely to be here in the garden and meeting real people face to face.
And hopefully a sign of things to come. This is what you'll be doing for the for the foreseeable. Thank you so much for your time, really appreciate it. And if you have got any questions, or if you have got an interest in writing a children's picture book, then we highly recommend going off and having a look at BBC Maestro. We'll put the link in underneath, and thank you very much for your time, appreciate it.